So in this chapter, we're introduced to another character by the name of Kakashi, and really just kind of see some of the rigors and some of the things that actually go into becoming a full-fledged shinobi. Naruto number 4, Hatake Kakashi. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Naruto Nation! I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and awe-inspiring adventure-filled tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw us, and these have been fairly self-contained, but it was at graduation, and we were introduced to Sakura and Sasuke as two supporting characters. You know, and those two, along with Naruto, are actually going to be in a group, a cell, and then we were kind of left off on like their training. It was going to start the next day with a you know, like a senior level shinobi, and in that senior level shinobi, we just saw a picture of, and he was just a guy that kind of had this headband down over one of his eyes. I don't know if he's missing an eye or what his deal is, but they don't really tell us. But anyway, so the title is the chapter title for this one. That's how we left off. That's where we pick up, and Kakashi is actually the name of the shinobi, and that's the name of the chapter. We're introduced to him very quickly, and the three are sitting around. Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto are sitting around in the classroom, and they're like, everybody else has gone off and left already, and even Master Iruka is gone. And Naruto's like, what the hell? Where is he? He's late. This is ridiculous. So he goes and he takes, and he's always causing pranks and mischief, and I thought this was great. He goes and props up like an eraser in between the door, and the door jamb at the top, so when the door opens, it'll fall on him, right? And Sasuke, Mr. brooding emo guy, he's just like, oh, that's not gonna work on a master shinobi and this and that, So next thing you know, Kakashi goes and walks in. This is before he's even introduced himself. Walks in, and the eraser falls down, clunks him on the head, and dust comes everywhere, So anyway, he winds up going and taking the three of them out for their training, and he starts out their training by saying, we're going to do an exercise where basically, we share stuff about ourselves. We're going to talk about interests, hobbies, things that we like, and introduce ourselves. And they're like, so Naruto's like, well, why don't you get us started there, Teach? Why don't you go first? So he's like, my name is, and I hope I get this right, is Hatake Kakashi, or since it's backward, Kakashi Hatake. But anyway, so he introduces himself, and then he goes and he says, and I don't like to share any of my, I have hobbies, but I don't feel like sharing anything else within this and that. So he basically tells them nothing, right? So they're like, okay, great. So you basically just told us your name, and then the whole time, Sakura is still just head over heels for Sasuke and just hates Naruto. So anyway, so he goes and he looks at Naruto and he says, well, how about you? And he says, okay, and he introduces himself, and then he says, he goes on and on about how he likes ramen, and he likes instant ramen. And sometimes when Master Iruka goes and takes him to get ramen at the so-and-so, and it's all about food. And Kakashi's sitting there, he's just like, oh God, it seems like all this kid cares about is food. And he's talking about how he hates waiting the 3 minutes to put when you put the boiling water in, right, for them to cook, the noodles to cook. So he's just like, oh my God, thinking these are hopeless, He says, I don't even like you guys. So anyway, he goes and then he says, Naruto finishes up by saying, and I'm going to train and be the next Hokage, and I'd be this great shinobi. And so then he's like, so then Kakashi kind of looks up and he's thinking, okay, I might actually like this kid a little bit, So then Sasuke winds up going, and Sasuke's just kind of got that dark brooding thing, and he doesn't really have any hobbies, and he doesn't have any dreams because those are just words and this and that. But he wants to go and he wants to restore his clan to greatness, and then there's also someone that he is going to kill. And it's funny because, or that he's promised to kill or what have you, as he trains and raises up through the ranks. It's funny because Kakashi's like, says to himself, just like, yeah, that's what I figured, Like I could tell just by looking at you and your personality, you're the typical, like, okay, I've got an axe to grind with someone and I hate everything, And that's why I joke around and call him like that emo kid, that sort of dark, like, everything is terrible, life is so bad, And I don't know, his character may be different, but that's just the initial impression I get. So then they go to Sakura, and Sakura is just like, I love, she introduces herself, and she's like, I love, and then she's going to say Sasuke, but she doesn't. She's like, we'll just go past that, and she's like, we'll talk about my hobbies, and then she's like, and I hate Naruto. Naruto's like, what the hell, And she's talking about this and that, and what she, wants to do, and so they get through their whole thing, and, Kakashi tells them, and he says, okay, well, listen, what we're going to do is I want you guys to go and, get a good night's sleep. Make sure that you're not late tomorrow. Do not eat any breakfast. you know, because we're going to have this, you know, this test tomorrow. So they're all, you know, kind of curious, Naruto especially. And he's like, well, what's this test all about? You know, and he's like, no, I'm not even going to tell you, because if I tell you, then you're going to go and chicken out, you know. Well, what are you talking about, chicken out? And he explains that there was 27 people in the graduating class, right? But 18 of them aren't going to make it to the next level, right? To the junior shinobi training or what have you. Only 9 are going to make it. So he's like, so this test that you're going to take has a 66% rate of failure. 2/3 of the people that are here are going to go home, right? And Naruto's like, what the hell was the point in going through all the training and graduation and everything? He's like, that was just to weed out the dumb shits from the people that actually have potential. But out of those ones that have potential, we're still going to be selective, and we're going to pare you down to the ones that are really elite, you know? So I thought that was kind of cool, the way, you know, the whole thing was set up and everything like that. You know, and how he explains what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, and the failure rate and everything. So anyway, so everyone's going to go home and you know, get a good night's sleep or whatever. And they come there the next day, and they're like, oh, Master Kakashi. And he's like, immediately he's like, you're late, you know? So I don't know if he told them the wrong time or whatever the deal was, or if they just assumed because he was late the day before they could be late this day, but kind of scolds the 3 of them starting off. And then he goes and he's got a clock, you know, and he's like, when this clock, and I'm going to give you until, you know, it hits 12 or whatever, which looks like, I don't know, but I don't know if it's a few minutes or if it's just an hour, because the way the hands are on it, I'm not sure if the big hand, the little hand. But anyway, when the clock strikes at whatever time he gives him, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour, he has these 2 bells, and he's like, and they're going to be on his person, I'm assuming, somewhere tied to him maybe or something like that. He's like, and you have to get these away from me. Now, here's the deal. Okay, the 2 that actually get them away from me are going to get to go and enjoy a nice lunch. The one that doesn't is going to go and be tied up to that tree over there, and I'm going to eat their lunch right in front of them. So, you know, so Naruto's thinking, he's like, son of a bitch, you crafty bastard. That's why he had us not eat breakfast, right? You know, and it really was. I mean, when you think about it, so obviously they're hungry to begin with. So a lot of times when you're hungry, you'll go and, like, if you ever go shop at a grocery store when you're hungry, you just start buying all kinds of shit that, like, you don't even normally want, but you're just hungry, right? So the whole idea, it's the same mental manipulation that you do with people. You come to a test like this and you're hungry, and you know that, like, that the payoff of the test is that you get to eat. You're going to work harder, but you're also going to go and probably going to make mistakes because you're starving, man. You're just like, I got to eat, you know, and it's going to cloud your judgment. And at least that's my take on it anyway. So it's funny. So he goes and he tells me, he says, you can use shuriken. He says, you know, and you know, and I want you to go for killing blows. You know what I mean? I want you to actually, you know, attack. And Naruto's like, you couldn't even dodge an eraser, buddy. You're going to be dead. You know? And he's just like, yeah. He goes, you know what? You don't need to go and talk. People that talk so loud, you know, are basically, he's explaining, they're like, you know, like blowhards. They're people that if you need to talk about what you're doing, sorry, buddy, you're not worth your weight in anything. If you got to go and tell people, if you got to tell people, I'm good at fighting or I'm good at this, then sorry, bud, you're probably not that good at it. Chances are, you know what I mean? If you're good at something, your actions just speak louder than your words. Is kind of the moral that you take from that. So he goes and you know, so he says, so he's like, ready, set, and the next thing you know, Naruto, he's on that, you know, he's on that shit, and he's just like, and the next thing you know, man, it's just like a flash of panels, and then all of a sudden Naruto's got his arm behind his back, and then the shuriken is, you know, is being held and everything like that, you know, and he couldn't get to him, and he says, yeah, you have to wait. I appreciate the excitement there and the exuberance, but you have to wait until I say go. So he didn't even say go, you know, and Sakura's like, Jesus, I can't believe that, you know. So quick, it was just like a flash, you know, and Sasuke's like, okay, so this is what like a master level, you know, shinobi or whatever is actually capable of. So he's kind of impressed, you know, seeing that this guy, even though he didn't really look like much to them, at first when they met him, you know, they just saw this guy and he looked kind of like lazy, you know, kind of like a bum in the way he's got the headband over and everything, and he was late, you know, it wasn't a good first impression to them as the students, but you can tell Sasuke now has some respect for him, and probably Naruto as well. And Sakura, I think, is just scared shitless because she doesn't want to kill anybody. She's like, oh my God, that's so violent. I don't want to do that. So I don't think she's going to make it. That's just my prediction, at least not in this round, unless something changes majorly. So anyway, so he tells Naruto, he says, but, you know, you did actually go for a killing blow, though, so you obviously respect me. You know, you respect what I said, right? And that's pretty hardcore when you think about it, because I don't care how good you think you are. When you tell somebody to come at you with the intention of killing, fictional story or not, I mean, you put all that aside, man, I tell you, you got to have some confidence in your skills to know that you won't slip up at all, because, I mean, you know, split second and you're done. But anyway, that's a story for another time and a video for another time as well. So he winds up then going and, you know, kind of gets him back in there, and he's like, all right, now, ready, set, go, you know, and that's kind of how the chapter leaves off or whatever, is, you know, them kind of all going to come at him and whatnot, and we just sort of are left hanging with that. We don't really know what's gonna happen and transpire. So all in all, though, I thought it was a fun chapter. There was a little bit of action in there, and of course these are those building blocks chapters where they're introducing the world and the characters and just everything about it, you know what I mean? They're laying all the groundwork for us, all the fundamental stuff that we need, so then you can go and you can build upon with stories and adventures over that. So my chapter question, though, is what are your thoughts on the introduction of their, you know, of their training master, or whatever you want to call him, the sensei, Kakashi? What are your thoughts on him, his character design, and just overall his kind of, it seems like a little bit of an unorthodox, brooding personality, but, you know, again, that's just my take on it from being 4 chapters into this long-running series. So, let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation. If you'd like to see more of my artwork, brothers and sisters, just go on over to my Facebook or Instagram page and check it all out there.